The two mesas seen in this panorama are located in the Mare Buttes region of Mars. The mesas are about 260 feet apart, and the top of the one on the left is about 26 feet above the surrounding plain and about 330 feet from Curiosity's position when the rover acquired this image. The mesa on the right is about 33 feet high, and the top of it is about 270 feet from the rover. The upper part of Mount Sharp is seen in the horizon between the two prominent mesas. Arabia Terra is one of the more dusty regions of Mars, where ever-falling red dust covers the surface, allowing only minor variations in color and tone. One exception is when wind-driven, dark-toned sand moves across the surface, ejecting the bright dust into the atmosphere to reveal the dust-free surface below. This view shows sand dunes with surrounding larger teardrop-shaped light streaks pointing west or to the left. This orientation, along with the morphology of the local dunes, indicates that winds from the east have stripped sand particles off the dunes and carried them downwind to form these light streaks. More importantly, active sand has a role in the slow erosion of the rocks and the overall landscape evolution of the region. While roaming around an ancient delta to look for sampling sites that might contain ancient microbes and organics, Perseverance rover unsuccessfully tried to collect some of these viable rock samples as the fragile clay materials the rover targeted fractured, cracked, and crumbled during the abrasion and coring process. Scientists know from studying deltas in Earth that the fine-grained clay-rich rocks in these environments are good at preserving ancient biomarkers. Biomarkers or molecular fossils are complex organic molecules created by life and preserved in rock for up to billions of years. Perseverance chooses a sample using its suite of onboard instruments to detect whether organic molecules are present before coring. Once extracted, the core samples will be returned to Earth where scientists can analyze them in laboratories. This scene shows a bouldery ridge and two hills called Twin Peaks in the distance, which are approximately 100 feet tall. The rover seen here to the right is Sojourner, which was the first rover to land and travel on Mars. Sojourner spent 83 days of a planned 7-day mission exploring the Martian terrain, snapping photographs and taking chemical, atmospheric, and other measurements. Perseverance rover landed on Mars on February 18, 2021 and landed in the Jezero crater, a crater on Mars that scientists believe was once filled with water. If you look closely at the left center of this image, you can see the rover's parachute which helped deliver Perseverance to the Martian surface. The rover dropped the parachute before landing so it could be lowered down to the surface on wheels safely, and the parachute fell fairly close to the crater. But Perseverance, like all Mars rovers, is a slow mover. Its top speed is just 152 meters per hour. But after over a year of exploring some pretty rough terrain, the rover finally found the parachute. This parachute is pretty special, not just because it helped Perseverance land on Mars, but also because it has a secret coded message written on it. The words "Dare Mighty Things" were hidden in the parachute's red and white pattern, which is pretty inspiring. The mid-latitudes of Mars are covered in ice-rich mantling deposits in varying states of degradation. This mantle is thought to be deposited as snow during periods when the angle of the tilt of Mars's rotational axis, called obliquity, is much higher, which last happened around 10 million years ago. This view shows terrain typical of these mantling deposits in the southern hemisphere of Mars. The pitted texture suggests that ice is sublimating out from the deposits as the region is warmed under current lower obliquity conditions. This view shows Jezero crater, and at the time this panorama was taken by Perseverance rover, the rover had driven nearly a mile south of its landing site into a region called the Crater Floor Fractured Rough Unit. The stones that appear light-colored and flat here are informally referred to as the paver rocks and were the first type from which Perseverance collected a sample for planned return to Earth by subsequent missions. Small hills to the south of the rover and the sloping inner walls of Jezero crater rim fill the distant background of this view.